I really don't want to do this. It's not that I think I can't, it's that I don't want to, because it's annoying. You see what I'm saying? Okay, today in the Soap Thing project, I am going to do a demonstration, a tutorial, if you will, on the best way I can think of to keep your high-density badger brush from eating your lather. It's not exactly what it's doing, but we'll explain that later. About 1.5 years ago, I did a video explaining how I would do it, but I stopped short of actually showing you. Well, I think about 6, 7, 8 months ago at this point, somebody put in the comment section of that video that they were asking me to show you how to do it. So I am begrudgingly going to do that. It is insanely annoying, and that is why I no longer use high-density, large badger brushes anymore. Anybody who's been following my channel for quite a long time knows I use almost exclusively 22mm brushes, because I think anything higher than that is causing more problems than what it's worth. That's just my personal opinion. But in any case, I have soaking in a brush cup. This is a 26mm Sawdust Creation Studios. It's a 26mm Manchurian fan. And this is a high-density knot with gelled tips. We'll explain why that's a problem here in a minute, but the first thing you're going to want to do is get as much water out of this as you can. You still want to soak it because it's good for the hairs to be soaked before you use it. You don't want to use, let me grab a towel here, you don't want to use a dry badger brush to lather with. I have seen badger knots not last very long if you do that. But you see, I'm actually going so far as to kind of dry out the tips a little bit, because you want to have control over the water. You do not want any water, as much as you can help it, hiding in this knot. This is a silver tip badger, I'm fairly certain. And I think I've gotten about as much water out of it as I'm going to. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you need your soap. I'm going to use 345 soap for this. I might be cheating a little bit, maybe not, but I'm using a soap that I know is already predisposed to generate a voluminous lather. So I'm kind of cherry picking my soap based on what I think is going to work well. I'm going to use 345 Soap Company Tight Lines for this one. And this is a Creed Aventus type scent. The video after this will actually do a shave featuring this soap, but right now I'm just going to demonstrate how I build a lather. Alright. Now, what I tend to do, or what I used to do, is use slightly more soap than you would normally. So I'm going to use about just under 1.5 times the amount of soap, about 30% more than I would normally use. And let me get the soap out of here. So that amount looks about like this. Actually, maybe a little bit more. There we go. The next thing is, in order to make this work to your advantage as much as possible, you're going to want to use a bowl that has a mostly flat bottom, such as this Hendrix Classics & Company stainless steel bowl. You don't want to use something like a Pereira Shavery bowl, because that has divots and ripples and stuff in the bottom to increase agitation. But another thing it does is it causes lather to get stuck in there and your brush can't reach it. So, Alright, so I put the soap in the bottom of the bowl. Now what you want to do is have the soap in there just like that. You don't want to spread it around and make it completely flat. I actually think I'm going to use a little bit more soap. You want to set it in there in a single place and have it be sticking out a little bit. That is the best way to do this. Okay, I think that's plenty enough soap. Alright, so in order to maintain just complete control over the water, I'm going to use a spray bottle, which I actually don't use that much anymore. I haven't used this in so long, it's actually got dust on it. But what I'm going to do is, normally I would do 10 sprays of water to get this thing started. For this one, I'm going to do just 3. So, well, 4, because that spray bottle needed to prime a little bit. Okay, so, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the bowl like this, and I am just going to agitate on top of this lather, and I'm going to just use the weight of the brush. This is a fairly heavy brush, and so I'm just going to take quite a bit of time and just start working this around. So what we are trying to do with this is create a very pasty lather. Why? Because no matter what you do, the lather that you are trying to make, the soap that you are lathering on top of, is going to slowly travel up the knot towards the base of the handle. No matter what you do, it's going to do that. So better it be a very pasty lather that is extremely underhydrated than have your knot just be flooded with water and it will overwhelm the soap and you'll have to start from scratch. I know artisan shaving soaps can take a lot of water, and this is a tallow soap base, I'm pretty certain, and I know this can take a lot of water, but so much water can get caught up in here that it will actually overwhelm the soap. And so that's why your lather is getting ruined, is 2 things are happening. One is the lather that you are trying to make is traveling up the brush, and then because there's so much water in the base of the knot, it's just flooding the soap and making it to where it just gets flooded with water before you can even get started. To be honest with you, the real answer to this problem is that you should just not be using 26, 28 millimeter high density badger brushes with gelled tips. You know, because when I'm done with this thing, I'm gonna drop kick this bitch onto a BST. That is why I use brushes like this 22 millimeter Shave Mac. See how much smaller that is? I get significantly better lathers with this brush, and I get them way faster. And that is because it is a significantly smaller brush, and B, it is not a high density knot. It's actually a fairly low density knot. And so the physics, if you can call it that, of the water and the soap traveling up the brush is too small for that to matter. But it's also big enough that it can make a very good lather that's very pleasant to use. So that's why I've been using 22 millimeter brushes for so long, is just because the hairs, there's just not enough hair, badger hair, to cause this problem. So as you can see, we got a really pasty lather going on the tips of the brush and in the bowl. And so this is where you can start to add a little bit more water. Add another 4 sprays. Swirl this around inside the bowl. There you go. Take a look. And I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. I'm going to be circling, hovering over top of this mound of soap. Now, I know a lot of people who use high-density badger brushes will often just lather right on top of their soap in the tub. I strongly advocate against that for pretty simple reasons, because it's freaking gross and unhygienic. Plus, if you ever decide you want to sell that soap, it is going to destroy the resale value. Like, I've lost track of how many soaps I've seen on BSTs that nobody's going to buy because the last person who owned it lathered directly into the tub. So, but that's just me doing backflips on my soapbox. If I could snap my fingers right now, nobody would ever lather into their directly into the tub of soap again, because that is disgusting. That's just my personal opinion, and if you don't like it, well, call the police. I have never been one to hide my views of this hobby, and I'm not going to start now. Alright, so we now have quite a significant amount of soap in that brush that is underhydrated, plus a little bit in the bottom of the bowl. So here comes the fun part. We are going to actually take this and pull the soap out. And you can see how there's still a little too much water in it and it's dripping out. So take that and put it on the tip of the brush. I'm going to wash my hand really quickly. And I'm just going to take that, I took it out of the knot and put it right back on the tip of the brush. And I'm just going to keep working this around. Now, if you use enough soap, like if you put enough soap in your bowl, you can pretty much do anything you want. And the brush is eventually going to make a satisfactory lather, but I'm trying to do this without being wasteful, without using just an insane amount of soap. Because for those of you who are lathering directly into your tub of soap and getting perfectly fine lathers, that's why, is because you are wildly overusing the soap and it's just wasteful. Okay, so once again we have this like pasty situation going on here, and I'm going to add another 4 sprays of water. And just keep working this stuff up, slowly but surely. Let's talk about Creed Aventus for a minute while we're doing that. It seems like a lot of artisans are making this. Like, the majority of well-known artisans have a Creed Aventus type scent in their lineup. Pick which one you think you like the most and put it in the comment section of the video. For me, it has to be Fine Accoutrements Platinum. And I think the reason I have used so much of that is just because, I'm not sure if you still can, I haven't looked at their website in a while, but it used to be you could get Fine Platinum in a tube, as a tube cream. It was kind of like Pereira. And I used that stuff all the time early on in my shaving hobby. I went through several tubes of Fine Accoutrements Platinum tube cream. And it's wonderful stuff, in my personal opinion. Plus, the scent character of the Fine Accoutrements Platinum is closer to how Creed Aventus used to smell, versus something like this 345 Tight Lines, smells more like the watered-down Creed Aventus that you get today. Creed Aventus actually used to be kind of a polarizing scent when it first came out, because it had this pineapple and birch and this really smoky kind of facet to it, and there's some differing opinions on it. Okay, I think we're about finished. I think we have a perfectly usable, satisfying lather. Took a lot longer than it should have, but such as it is. And here it is. So, making a lather with these kinds of brushes, they have two things working against them. One of those is the fact that it's a large knot with a lot of hair that's going to soak up a lot of water and a lot of soap. Another thing is the gelled tips. For those of you who don't know what gelled tips are, they basically take the knot and they do something to the tips of the hairs, which I'm not super familiar with what that is, but basically what it does is it makes it extremely soft to the touch. The problem with that is the scritchiness in a normal badger knot that you just took away from this. That scritchiness will help you agitate the soap and build a lather easier and faster. So on top of having a knot that's big and going to ingest water and soap anyway, now you're further making it harder to build a lather because the knots are too soft to agitate the soap without doing it very carefully. Is this going to work though? Is it a usable lather that I can actually use to shave with? Well, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait till the next video on the Soap Thing project, and then we're going to find out. Coming soon.